Metanomics is brought to you by Remedy Communications and Doosan Writers Metaverse.
Now, toward the end of your book, you talk about that there was an often heard quote around Linden Lab, "Let 1,000 flowers bloom." And in a footnote, and I don't just point this out to demonstrate that I read the footnotes to books, but I thought this was a really interesting footnote. You point out first that the real quote from Mao is Chairman Mao, "Let 100 flowers bloom, let 100 schools of thought contend." But then you go on to say, quote, "There are multiple ironies in Linden Lab's invocation of the phrase given its original use, but I do not discuss them here." So my question, Thomas, is, will you discuss them here?
Well, sure, I guess. Well, on the one hand, this is a quote from Mao, so it's coming from a particular version of communism, a particular era where there was certainly an enormous commitment to top-down planning and control that was married to a celebration of the common, a celebration of the proletariat in its particular, in that case, in the peasant, in the Chinese case, the rural. So it was a very, very different context than Linden Lab. Linden Lab is not trying to plan and dictate an economy with the same confidence and self-acknowledgement and awareness as a Marxist kind of effort. But at the same time, they were. I mean, the deep contradiction, the deep irony of Linden Lab is that they were constantly talking about how they shouldn't govern Second Life. They're constantly trying to get their hands out of it, but yet they couldn't deny the practical fact that they had access under the hood that users did not. In the same way, Philip Rosedale would frequently say, "In an ideal world, I wouldn't exist." Right? He hoped that they could tap into the wisdom of their own crowd to such an efficient degree, finding just the right mechanism that he wouldn't have to make any decisions, or at least so he claimed. But of course, that couldn't happen. He couldn't. There was no question that he exerted enormous influence over what people thought was important or what projects people pursued just by the favor of his interest. So for them to frequently say, "Let 1,000 flowers bloom," is ironic because they're on the one hand, yes, they are saying everyone do whatever you want, but at the same time, they can never get away from the fact that they have more control than they claim, and that leads to me an enormously important point, which is not just about, and a point not just about Linden Lab, but about very similar kinds of companies, Google, all these companies that are architecting increasingly our digital lives, and that is that we have an emerging social distinction between the users and those who are the creators. Even users in Second Life who are told that they have all the agency they would ever need, that they have all the tools, access to tools to make whatever they want to make, they yet do not have access under the hood in the same way that Linden Lab does. Of course, some things are changing with the attempts to kind of open it up, but this is a general problem and issue with technology today. Not only, I mean, most obviously, Linden Lab is engaging in public policy in some of its decisions about the architecture of Second Life and its policies. Google is engaging in public policy with some of the decisions it makes about its architecture. For us not to zero in on this distinction between users who only have access to the technology at a certain level and the creators who are not under no political accountability demands, who have all that kind of access and make those decisions. This seems to me to be an urgent issue, and Linden Lab is just one way to demonstrate it.